Hey everybody, this is Cameron Porter with Robin Hood Studios. Good to see you today. I got my buddy Horse here, and he's going to be helping us out with today's episode. What we're doing is we're showing you how to properly light an interview. Okay, so the first thing you got to keep in mind when you're doing an interview, honestly, if you're doing it indoors, I know he's on a chair, but pretend he's just a really short person and he's actually standing. So you always have your interviewee stand. It makes them look more confident, it makes them look better, much more flattering than sitting down, okay? So once you got that, if you're doing it indoors, a lot of people are afraid to use the lighting that's already inside. And for the most part, that's silly. I mean, you can use the lighting indoors. Now, if you're doing, obviously, ultra professional work, yeah, you don't want to mix lighting temperatures. But if you're doing this by yourself, no one's going to notice. You're talking the difference between 95% and 100% perfect when you're talking about the lighting temperature differences between the fluorescents and the lights that you bring in. It's not going to be a big deal, okay? So use the lighting that you have available. So if you look up, you can see that we're actually directly underneath a light, one of the lights in our office. And you can see that our horse here, our subject, is actually fairly well lit already. So once you've got that done, you usually have a pretty smooth lighting there anyway. So you need to either add amplitude, if it's just not bright enough, or you need to add emphasis, if the lighting is just not exactly where you want it to be. And trust me, it does make a big difference. So what we're going to do, we're going to show you how to use a 3-point lighting kit. In fact, the 3-point lighting kit that comes in our Film It Yourself kit that you can use to light professional interviews. So here we go. So coming over here, we've got 3 lights, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to see what we need to do here to light our horse to make him look really good. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is there's a lot of shadows on this side because the light's fairly one directional coming from there. So we got a lot of shadows here. Let's take one of our short stands. Now you can see it gets pretty bright, but we don't need it to be that bright. We only need about that much. Now, what we want to do is make sure that we got as much light. I mean, this is already a little bit better, but we want to show you how to use all 3 pieces of your light kit. Especially, this becomes very important when you don't have any extra lighting. If you are only lighting with your 3-point set, this becomes very important. Okay, so we'll take our next light, and we'll put it right here. Now, this light is a little bit of an exception, but generally speaking, you always light from above. Okay, whether it's the sun or lights in a room, we always expect light, our eyes expect light to come from above. See, we just add a little bit of light there. Okay, so if you light from below, it becomes it looks lit. So if you ever looked at, watched a video or watched a movie and say, that looks like they had lighting, like it just looks artificial, then chances are it's because they lit from below. So if you always light from above, you won't run into that issue nearly as much. So our horse is looking pretty good now. Subject is looking pretty nice, but there's still, especially with the lights that we've just added, there's now some shadow on the side of his face right here, and right here. There's some shadow here. So we've got a bit of a wall stopping us from getting kind of the back end. We don't really need a hair light because this is acting as our hair light, so that's fine. But what we want to try to do is light that side of his face from above, again, from above, and see if we can't even that out. All right, so now the test. Take a look over here, and as our little horse guy is talking, he's doing his little thing, he's talking. He's also going to be turning his head, doing this number. Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty even. I mean, it's not perfect. Like when he faces directly this way, there's some shadow here, but the camera's not going to detect that very easily. This is a 3-point lighting setup, okay? Now, if we didn't have these interior lights, if we wanted to just turn them off, in fact, let's do it. Let's turn them off, and I'll show you. And you're going to see why I recommend you use the lights that are built in. So now this is what it looks like. On our professional camera, our subject still looks fine. But the background is extremely dark, which is fine, but you don't really want your background to be super dark because then it looks like your subject is in a cave. And our subject isn't in a cave. Our subject is in a nice, friendly, warm, soft environment. So if you're using just three lights and you're not using the overheads that exist in your office or wherever you're shooting the interview, what you've got to do is change this design a little bit. You have one light, usually called your key light, right there, and that lights your subject from the front, and you can actually brighten that significantly now. And in this case, I'd bring it up a little bit, like that. And then you've got one light that's pretty much right here, like that. And then we'll go brighter on this one as well, on this guy. Okay. And then this one, you actually want to go a little bit lower than that one, but kind of the same thing, like that. Okay, and they're all at maximum brightness. So you can see our little, horse buddy is looking pretty good, pretty even. So the overall goal here is to eliminate shadows, eliminate distracting shadows, and just get a smooth lighting. Unless you're going for a very stylistic interview, you really don't need to worry about more than that. Just get even lighting, smooth lighting, get the horse well lit like he is now, okay? All right, so that is lighting. That is how to light a simple interview. So thank you. Hope this video has been helpful. I'm Cameron Porter with Robin Hood Studios. We'll see you next week.